Back in the day, I would have labeled this channel "How to Get Along with the Crazy People in Your Life." But of course, nobody has any of those, right?
No, no, no. And obviously, I'm the most normal person in my life. So,
Mm-hmm. Yes. I think that's affects all of us. I know for me, before I learned about this, I thought everybody thought like I did, and that's why I was very confused about life and people.
oh my gosh, that is 100% true. Every time I think that someone thinks the way I think, I'm always wrong every single time.
Pretty much spot on there. So,
Hmm. And it's been proven to me by this one guy. So every time, I think his name's Stanley. He's proved me a few times that I might be wrong when I think that other people are wrong first.
yep, lots of learning we can all do, right?
100%.
Also, humorous side comment for that top personality that I am. The presenter at the conference said, and for instance, if this is your personality, referring to the one that's the strongest for me, and you happen to be interested in what I'm sharing with you today, you will dig in and you will learn so much more and you will go far beyond anything that I know about this.
Now, the question I have, because I know that I know a thing or two about the top personality, would be, did it annoy you or anything when they told you about what you were going to do?
I I almost kind of it was mixture. I could almost feel that it was prophetic a little bit, like, well, yeah, I guess that might be true. And then I totally did. And then I've totally
Okay, so
spent,
no immediate stubborn resistance to the
yeah,
fact that
not a whole
someone knew
bunch.
something about you. Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Mostly just because I was so fascinated by what I had just learned. And by the fact that I
Okay.
could, connect with two people like, hey, there's got to be something to this.
Mhm.
So I learned about it at the conference, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to use this thing. This is going to make my life better. And so I take it, I go home, and I'm like, hey, Maria, my wife, hey, can you take this test and let's see what your top temperaments are? And I'm like, this is really exciting. So here's the thing. There were three of the temperaments that they shared that I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. I can see people being that way. And there's a fourth temperament that when I heard about it, I'm like, oh man, okay, I'll acknowledge it as a temperament, but I really don't like those people. Like, not at all. And lo and behold, when my wife took the quiz, her second highest temperament was that one that I didn't like so much.
That special one.
Yeah, that special one.
Mm-hmm.
Now,
Mm-hmm.
now this explains some of the communication problems we'd had in our marriage up to that point. This explains some of the challenges we'd had. But I really wasn't thrilled to find this out because I'm like, oh, but like I don't like that one. I have to understand that one.
And
And
that one's
so
probably the hardest one for you to understand, right?
yeah, well, for me, out of the four, it's my lowest. So
Okay.
it's important to note that everybody has some of all the temperaments, but like you're going to have some that you're stronger on, some that you're lower on. And for me, that was by far my lowest. So obviously, though, this is my wife, right? I have to work it out. I have to figure out how to make things work, right? And so when I'm trying to reconcile some new information in my life, what I do is I try and use Jesus Christ and the gospel of Jesus Christ to understand it better. And so I said, hey, Maria, can you do me a favor? Like the other three temperaments, I can totally see in Christ, but that one that's your second highest, like I'm struggling to understand it. So please show me that in Jesus Christ or in the gospel. And
And you
and so
asked that to her, right?
I asked that to her. Yeah, I asked that to Maria, and so she's like, okay, I'll take that challenge. But then a couple days later, she came back to me and she says, okay, I'm still working on your challenge, but I have a challenge for you. And I go, really? She says, your second highest. Tell me about your second highest and how that is actually shown by Jesus Christ. And I'm like, well, no, it's obvious because, and right as I said that, I realized it was not as obvious as I thought it was. And really that mutual challenge to each other really was the beginning of this explosion of study. That's really where this went from just kind of a, hey, this is cool, to wait, we got to dig in and understand this thing.
So this is impactful. Like,
Yes.
okay.
So because we had both challenged each other on our second highest temperament to say, hey, where do you find that in Jesus Christ or the gospel of Jesus Christ? And spoiler alert, we found it all.
Stop.
But it took a bunch of digging.
Hey, if you can convince me to see things like that, that's a big deal. So
Yes.
not convince, teach.
Teach. Yes.
Me to see
Teach
things
very
like
patiently, right?
So patient. I mean, it could have been worse. What what was it, a year and a half?
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, it could have been longer. Just put it out there. That was when I was in direct Stanley contact.
Yep. Yep. So yeah, we dug in. My wife's an author. She loves this stuff for making the characters in her book stronger. And I love
Oh,
this because I really, through this understanding, I've kind of become a people geek. So I'm very much a geek, but I'm a people geek. I like understanding people, and that's what I do. And I love helping people understand each other.